RuneScape has a lot of stuff that you could probably suggest needs fixing. So what we're going to do is in this video cover a few of those, maybe 5 of them, and then in a couple more videos cover other things that Jagex just really needs to fix. Things that are frustrating and irritating in RuneScape that honestly just like, why is this still happening? So if you can think of any of these things that I don't mention here, leave them in the comments or chuck me a message on Discord or something like that, and I'll include them in the next one. So with that being said, let's go. By the way, big heads up, there is actually 63% of you guys that watch all the videos that aren't actually subscribed. 63%. So give that a check and give it a click. It'll help the channel out a ton and it's always appreciated. Okay, let's go. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a little pet sort of peeve or hate of my own. Really isn't that huge of a deal for probably most people, but I find it a little bit irritating and I kind of wish that it didn't happen. Anyway, we're going to be talking about something to do with elite dungeons from 1, 2, 3, and 4. But since the release of the Sanctum of Rebirth, it's kind of confused me even a little bit more, and pretty much is where this video idea came from. The Sanctum of Rebirth counts as an elite dungeon. Apparently, did you guys? I didn't know this, right? They said when they were making it that this will be similar to an elite dungeon, just without the trash mobs. So it is a dungeon in some sense. However, when you go through elite dungeon 1, 2, and 3, you actually can't start elite dungeon 2 before you finish 1 or 3 without getting a message that says on your screen, if you want to enter this dungeon, you have to clear your progress in the other dungeon or something along those lines. You have to delete your progress in one of the other dungeons before you can start a new one. Now for elite dungeon 1, 2, and 3, this makes total sense and actually is it's fine. Like I say, makes sense. This is because if you complete elite dungeon 1, 2, and 3 in order, so you run number 1, then you run number 2, and then you run number 3 straight afterwards, when you finish the 3rd dungeon, you'll get yourself some bonus rewards in terms of an elite chest. Inside the elite chest, we'll have rewards from Elite Dungeon 1 in terms of Ancient Scales, Elite Dungeon 2 in terms of the energy that the last dragon drops. For some reason it's kind of skipped my mind. Is it like Draconic energy or something like that? Anyway, the energy from ED2. And then you also get some stuff relevant to ED3 as well. These are a nice way to boost the amount of money that you can actually make from running the dungeons, and the idea itself is genius. Like, I think the design that they've done here is brilliant. However, then they released Elite Dungeon 4. Now, Elite Dungeon 4 has no ties to 1, 2, or 3 at all in terms of if you run them in order, you'll get an extra reward or anything like that. So it doesn't even make sense that they would have to have their progress connected. Yet, if you start a dungeon in ED 1, 2, or 3, and you take your pick, and then you go to ED 4 and try to run this dungeon, it actually will just say you have to discard your progress in the other dungeons before you can even start this one. Just trying to discard your progress in the Shadow Reef before you enter this. That makes no sense. Why can't I have half a run in the Shadow Reef and then move on to ED4 if I wanted to, just because, I don't know, maybe you were doing it in a duo and someone left, and so then you went off to do ED4 yourself or anything like this. You have to clear it before you actually go in here. This doesn't really make sense at all, because running all of them in a row doesn't give you any bonuses when you do ED 1, 2, 3 and then do 4. I wish it did. It'd be super cool if it did, and then I'd be absolutely fine with it, but it doesn't. Now this was fine, I guess. Like, you can put up with it. It's not a huge deal. But now we have the Sanctum of Rebirth, and the Sanctum of Rebirth, they must have used something in terms of the systems to make this a lot easier to build or create, I suppose, whether it's like a copy paste from code or something like that. But if you try and go into the Sanctum of Rebirth and you have progress in ED 1, 2, 3, or 4, you then have to clear your progress in all of those before you can enter this dungeon. The same goes for if you want to go through the Sanctum of Rebirth and you do boss 1 and 2, maybe you're struggling on boss 3, right? The final boss is insanely difficult, especially in hard mode. Maybe you want to take a little break and go run an elite dungeon. Well, you can't, because you'll have to clear your progress in the Sanctum of Rebirth before you actually go and do a dungeon, because for some reason this is connected to all of the elite dungeons, including Zamorak in Elite Dungeon 4. If you're someone who wants to kill Zamorak, you can't do this because, well, you've got progress in the Sanctum of Rebirth. You have to sacrifice your progress, which could take some players a decent amount of time to get to the final boss. Then you're gonna have to clear that off, and you can't go back without having to kill the other 2 again if you want to do any of the elite dungeons, or even just go skip straight to Zami. This needs fixing in my opinion, Jagex. Jagex, what is this crap? Why can't I get stuck at the final boss in Sanctum of Rebirth, want to take a break, go and kill Zami or any of the other 3 elite dungeons without clearing my progress? It's very strange. Is this, I don't know, is there a reason for this that I'm missing? I don't think there is. Now this next one, after ranting about the first one for probably far too long, let's try to get this one a little bit shorter. Did you know that in game currently there is the most frustrating, irritating bug ever? I guess it's a bug where if you take any damage, or if you deal any damage, or if you have prayer tick, sometimes this counts as well, going up or drain, you actually can't do some of the interactions with interfaces or windows, things like that. For example, one of them that really irritates me is this one. When you're trying to change your boss portal or open the bank or load a preset or anything like this, if you have any damage or outgoing damage or incoming damage happening to you, incoming damage kind of makes sense, right? If you're getting hit, fine. But if you're dealing damage because you put like a bleed on a dummy at wars, you will instantly have the interface closed for certain things. For example, trying to change the thing at wars to a different boss. If you have a bleed on a dummy at wars because you're trying to get the stacks up before you go into a fight, it will instantly close. If you put a bleed on it and then you're like, I've loaded the wrong preset, and you try and load a new preset, it will instantly close. However, this doesn't make really any sense, because any other window, for example, if I want to check my beast tab and see like what loot I've had at the boss for some crazy reason, or an achievements tab or anything like this, this will stay open even if a boss is smacking me in the face. So this is kind of irritating, and it would be nice maybe if this was a toggleable option in settings. If it is, then just tell me in the comments. I don't think it is, but tell me. It'd be amazing if it was. But if it's not, then it should be. Just don't close any windows if I take damage or deal damage or anything like that. Now, another part of this that I battle with on stream all the time is if you're changing your prayers from like your prayer book and you want to keybind them onto your action bar, you can't do this if you have any sort of change in your prayer points whatsoever. It's really strange. If you try and drag a prayer icon from your prayer book and put it in your keybind somewhere, I think this also applies to other keybinds, but I'm not 100% sure. Every time that prayer ticks, every single time it ticks up or down, it will drop the icon back to the prayer book. Like it'll just like you've unselected it pretty much. And this makes it really difficult for you to change this if you have the wrong thing keybound in the middle of a fight, for example. I don't understand why it does this. I can't see a reason why you would want it to do this. Like, I'm choosing to drag this right now. I am deciding I want to drag this into here. So the prayer changing shouldn't really be an issue. Now, you can actually fix this by making sure your prayer points are on full, but it's still a little bit awkward and annoying, and just, it's not like a huge, like I said, game-changing, irritating thing, but man, it can be really annoying sometimes, and it just doesn't make sense. So can we fix this, please, Jagex? Here's an interesting one for you that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but kind of has a hidden sense behind it. But just stop. Iron Men in RuneScape. You know what the Iron Men are? For those of you that don't know, because maybe you're new to the game, Iron Men are basically solo players, pretty much, unless you're in a group Iron Man, of course. And you can't use a grand exchange, you can't use microtransactions, you have to do everything in game, basically self-sufficient. Now, the main part of this was the no microtransactions bit. You can't buy treasure hunter keys, you can't use treasure hunter keys anyway, you can't get anything like that. But Jagex still advertises treasure hunter key promotions to Iron Men. If you log in on an Iron Man account and Jagex have decided that, hey, today we're going to be advertising this new promotion or sale of treasure hunter keys where you can buy more, like, I don't know, buy 50 keys, get 50 keys free, could be an example. Well, the Iron Men will see this as well, which doesn't make sense because they can't make use of it. But Jagex is still advertising to these Iron Men, in my opinion, very, very likely because they're assuming that most Iron Men players probably have a main account. And, well, it's just better make sure these players know that there's a sale for keys on, because they could want to go ahead and do that on their main account anyway. I very often get people message me on Discord with a screenshot of this going, "In it, did you know that Iron Men get advertised these treasure hunter key promotions? This doesn't make sense. I can't use them anyway. Why would they do this? If I go and I try and buy them, it's not going to work because it won't do anything. Why would they?" Well, that's why I assume they're just like, well, tell them, because if they have alts, we've got to make sure they know about it, right? They may spend more money. Jagex just don't. Like, what the frick? This doesn't make sense. If there's a new player that joins the game and becomes an Iron Man, and then this pops up, it's just, one, going to be confusing, but two, they're going to think, wait, didn't I pick this mode purely because then it doesn't have microtransactions, and now you're trying to sell me them, and then that kind of takes the legitimacy, I guess, out of it. it just yeah, crazy. I don't know. I actually am very curious on how many people this has converted into actual sales. Has anyone watching this video seen this, like logged into an Iron Man, seen the sale promotion given to them, and then logged into their main account and bought those keys? Let me know if you have. I'm going to assume nobody, to be honest. I'm just have a feeling. And the final thing that I wanted to mention for this one is really not that big of a deal. It's just like a quality of life thing. It also makes the game feel a little bit outdated and not really polished, I suppose. So I guess that's kind of important for new player experience. Anyway, this is if you try to world hop while in game to a full world, you'll actually get fully kicked out to the login page. You don't have to log in anymore because you have the Jagex account, right? But where you click play game or whatever and it logs you into the lobby, the page before the lobby is where you get kicked to. Very strange. If you are, for example, on double experience and you want to hop over to, let's say, world is 84, the skilling world, because you want to use the portables that have been put down in 4.3. Well, other players would usually right-click their world map, open world select, and then click on that world that they want to go to. Or right-click someone in their friends list even, and press join, and it'll take you to their world. However, if that world is full, you'll just get kicked out to that login screen, the main menu thing, the bit where you press play before the lobby. But if you go to the lobby and then try and join a full world, what'll happen is you'll get put into a queue to be able to swap to that world. This is great. I actually love the fact that they have a queue for this, because this used to be a disgusting system back in the day. You would have to sit there refreshing until you see a space come, then you would press join, and then if you didn't get in, you would probably get kicked back to the login, and then you have to try it again, and if you did it too many times, you would not be able to log back into the game, and it would tell you to come back in 5 minutes. It was a joke. So when Jagex added a queue system, this was a really, really good thing, but it only works in the lobby. So can we maybe have the queue system work while we're in game and then just hop us worlds once the queue is actually ready and when there's actually a space available? I don't know how the coding and stuff works. I'm not a game designer. I don't know how RuneScape code works. Apparently even game designers don't know how RuneScape code works a lot of the time. But either way, surely if we have a lobby queue, we can have an in-game queue, or when you click to hop worlds, if it's too busy, it puts you in the lobby and then automatically puts you in the queue and says you're in the queue. Either way, I feel like this could just be a little bit more polished. Isn't a big deal like most of these things in here. There's just things that don't make sense and definitely need a little bit of a fix. Anyway, guys, if you can think of any of these that sort of tick you off every now and again, or things that you think like, that doesn't make sense, it could definitely use a fix, then leave a comment down below and we can make a second part for this. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, sub to the channel if you are new, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Catch you later, guys. Bye.